Okay, so I've had some time to gather my thoughts on the S24 Ultra, and man, I gotta say, I am super impressed. I mean, we've heard all the rumors of Samsung recycling the same design as last year with minimal exterior changes. But man, in the hands, the S24 Ultra just feels completely redefined. It feels like Samsung finally nailed their design after many years of experimenting, minus of course the sharp corners, which we'll talk about in just a little bit.
I've been feeling so small. Watch the clock ticking off the wall.
How's it going, everyone? My name is RJ, and this is the brand new S24 Ultra, a phone that in my opinion has massive potential to be the phone of the year. Of course, if you guys enjoy this video and you want to see more S24 Ultra content, then make sure you do drop a like on this video and of course subscribe for a lot more. So just for full disclosure, this is a loaner device that was sent out to me by Samsung. My pre-order is still on the way, but man, we gotta talk about this year's design and build quality. Matte titanium rails was definitely the right move in my opinion. A bit more durable, a bit more scratch resistant, and overall the hardware feels very polished. The phone is a few grams lighter this year thanks to the titanium frame, and surprisingly, despite all of these camera modules, the Ultra is a well-balanced phone. Using it caseless, I've never once felt like it's going to topple over due to it being top heavy. This, in my opinion, is top-notch engineering on Samsung's part. We also got to talk about this titanium gray colorway. In person, it looks incredible. Comparing it alongside the iPhone 15 Pro Max's natural titanium, the S24 Ultra has a little bit of a gold tint to it, which just makes the phone look all the more premium. Now, when comparing it alongside last year's S23 Ultra, the S24 Ultra is a bit thinner. It does have slightly smaller bezels that go edge to edge, and of course this year we have a more practical, completely flat display, which in my opinion was the right move. Regarding the sharp corners, it's not exactly sharp. If you look very closely, there's a bit of a curvature along the ends. Now, does this dig into your hands while using the phone caseless? Not really. It doesn't feel like it's digging into my hands, but I do think rounded corners could have made the phone a bit more comfortable to hold for longer durations. Like, the iPhone has nice rounded corners that actually make the phone feel comfortable to hold for long durations. Something like this would have been the better design, at least in terms of comfort. Now, on the display front, we pretty much have the same display as the S23 Ultra with a few minor differences. We still have a 6.8-inch OLED display with HDR10 support. This is a 1440p panel, the visuals are vivid, vibrant, and now it's even brighter, peaking at a max brightness of 2600 nits, which is absolutely insane. Just for reference, the S23 Ultra peaked at a max brightness of 1750 nits. Now here is one of the most underrated additions to the S24 Ultra. The phone is now using Gorilla Glass Honor, which is supposedly a bit more scratch resistant than Gorilla Glass Victus 2. But the S24 Ultra is also layered with an anti-reflective coating, which significantly improves visibility under bright lights. And just overall, using the phone is a lot more easier now because it doesn't reflect as much light compared to its predecessor, the S23 Ultra. A totally underrated change that almost makes upgrading worth it for that one change alone. Like seriously, if you guys use this phone in person, you'll get what I mean. Remember how earlier I said I prefer a fully flat display? This was a controversial change. A lot of people love curved displays due to the aesthetic appeal. But practicality wise, a flat display just makes so much sense. It just makes consuming content all the more pleasurable. Content doesn't curve around the edge of the phone, and I find myself using the edge panel a lot more now just because it's slightly more accessible on a fatter panel. Overall, I feel like a flat display is a much more practical change and a change that I do welcome. Now, if you guys are wondering where all these wallpapers you see in my video are from, they're all a part of my wallpaper pack. You guys can find a bunch of wallpapers over on my website, and I think these wallpapers are absolutely beautiful if I do say so myself. Once again, you guys can find a link in the description below. Samsung made a big deal about Galaxy AI during their official announcement, and I gotta say, after using Galaxy AI for a little bit, it's not a gimmick. In fact, it's totally changed the way that I interact with my smartphone, which I feel like is the whole point of AI. One of the most useful changes is circle to search. It's pretty much an instant way of Google searching on your phone. Say you have a picture in your gallery and you're curious about what it exactly is. Simply hold down on the navigation bar, circle the object, whatever it may be, and voila. I've been using it quite a bit on a day-to-day basis, and once you get used to it and you remember that it's there is no going back. Now, this feature is also coming to other Android devices, and it will trickle down to the S23 Ultra. Another useful feature is something that the Google Pixel already had, but now it's made its way over to the S24 Ultra. Within the voice recorder app, AI will summarize your voice recordings, turn into bullet points, and overall it does an excellent job. If I had this while I was in university, I think I would have passed with a 4.0 GPA. It is such a useful tool, especially for long lectures. Another crazy useful feature is that now the phone app gets AI. You can be on the phone on a call with someone who speaks a completely different language from you, and the phone will translate the language in real time. And the thing is, I can even even do this offline. The translation is actually pretty fast and pretty smooth. A very useful feature if you're like a passport bro. In all seriousness though, if you guys have trouble communicating with your parents or your grandma over the phone, I can see this being a very useful feature for many people. The Notes app also now utilizes AI. If you have messy handwriting like I do, Galaxy AI will straighten up the handwriting. It'll turn your notes into bullet points, and it can even summarize your notes. I mean, you guys get the picture. You guys can clearly see this being useful. Galaxy AI isn't a gimmick like I initially thought it would be. It's actually some very useful stuff. But just remember, all of these features aren't exclusive to the S24 Ultra. They will trickle down to the S23 Ultra later on. Software-wise, you're looking at One UI 6.1 with 7 full years of software and security support. Absolutely unheard of longevity from Samsung. If you guys are looking for a phone to buy and to hold on to for a long time, the S24 Ultra might be your best bet. I can actually see this phone aging well with time. One UI 6.1 is such a clean UI. The lock screen looks so clean now. The fonts are now a bit more minimal and aesthetically appealing. Overall, some great UI changes that make Galaxy devices a pleasure to use. Despite the S24 Ultra sporting a 5000 mAh battery, it once again looks like Samsung flagships will continue to be the battery king in 2024. Over the past few days of usage, I'm getting close to 9 hours of screen on time. Very similar screen on time that I was seeing on my S23 Ultra. This is on a 5G network for about 80% of my day. The only time I use Wi-Fi is when I'm at home, and I'm almost never home except when I need to go to bed. Now keep in mind my usage wasn't anything too crazy, just some casual social media scrolling. I use the Notes app to jot down my tasks for the day. I take a few phone calls, I snap a few pictures, and I play a few games of League of Legends Wild Rift, one of my favorite games for mobile devices. Wild Rift is the most CPU intensive task I do on my phone, so 9 hours is very good screen on time. Now charging wise, we still have 45 watts wired charging and 15 watts wireless charging. No improvements on the charging front whatsoever, but 45 watts wired charging is plenty fast for me, especially considering that this phone lasts almost all day long, so I'm not really charging it that much. Speaking of CPU intensive tasks, we finally get to experience the performance of the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 chipset, and let me be the first to tell you, this chipset is a powerhouse. Everything I do on this phone is very smooth, and technically the performance should hold up 7 years down the road, but that still remains to be seen. One thing I noticed though is that the S24 Ultra remains very cool during long gaming sessions. This phone does come with a bigger vapor cooling chamber than the S23 Ultra, and I'm noticing a real difference with the thermals, especially when it comes to gaming. Like, this phone remains cool as a cucumber throughout my gaming sessions, no issues whatsoever. With the S24 Ultra, Samsung tweaked the cameras a bit this year. We still have a 200 megapixel main sensor that bins down shots to 12 megapixels. The shots coming out of the main lens are highly capable. HDR style scenarios don't expose any elements of the image like the S23 Ultra did. There's a nice balance between lighter and darker tones in these images, and also very natural color reproduction. When taking shots under indoor ambient lighting, these images look natural, and there's a lot less noise in these shots than on the S23 Ultra. Low light capabilities are also very strong. You can capture some nice, bright, crisp images in very low lighting conditions with very natural tones. Now, on the zoom front, things are a bit different, but I think Samsung made the right call. So with the S24 Ultra, we have less optical zoom than we had in the S23 Ultra. The phone now artificially sharpens any images past 10x. There's pretty much now a new redesigned 5x that's using a 50 megapixel sensor. The S24 Ultra now crops into that 5x shot to give you a 10x image with technically better resolution than the S23 Ultra. To me, this change makes a lot of sense. Most people use the 5x a lot more than they did the 10x. And now, thanks to the new 50 megapixel sensor, now shots on the 5x look absolutely stunning. We once again have a stereo speaker setup. The clarity is decent, but if you're looking to buy a phone with good speaker quality, you gotta give it up to the iPhone 15 Pro Max. The iPhone is a bit better in comparison. Take a listen for yourself. As this review comes to an end, I gotta give it up to Samsung. They knocked it out of the park this year with the S24 Ultra. On the exterior, it may not look like much has changed, but the more you use this device, the more you begin to realize this is a vastly different phone from last year's S23 Ultra. Minor camera improvements, an anti-reflective display, a more practical fully flat display. The phone is a bit lighter now, the display is much brighter, it handles thermals a lot better, 7 years of software support, and actually useful AI features. You see what I mean? All of this adds up to make the S24 Ultra the real deal. If you guys made it to the end of this video, let me know who you are by commenting a dolphin emoji down below. I would love to know who my true supporters are. As always, thank you so much for watching, don't forget to subscribe, and expect a lot more content on the S24 series.